Hey everyone, welcome to the sixth episode of the Book Nook. I'm your host Olivia, and for today's episode, I'm going to be talking about my personal reading journey. I'm going to be talking about some books that I've read recently from my TBR list and a lot of other books that are left on my list that I hope to read soon. So, hopefully, this episode will give you some good book recommendations and ideas for some books that you want to put on your TBR list. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, over the summer, I've been trying to read as many books on my TBR list as I possibly could, and I was very successful. I ended up reading like 10 or 20 books. I actually don't remember the exact number, but I did read a good amount of books from my TBR list. I think I read over half of the books that are on my list. So, the first book that I read was An Invisible Thread by Laura Scroff. So, this book, I've mentioned it a few times on my podcast before, but this book is a really good memoir. It's about Laura who she becomes friends with this boy named Maurice, and the two of them have this really unique bond. Laura kind of becomes like a mother figure to him, and she really helps him out a lot as he's going through this difficult time in his life. And I really love their beautiful friendship. I think it is so amazing and so heartwarming, and I love the message of kindness, the theme of an invisible thread that was connecting Maurice and Laura together. I think that was really powerful and it really resonated with me. So I love that book so much. It is one of my favorites. I have already reread it like 5 times, so it's just amazing. I love the writing style. I love the story. I love it even more because of the fact that it's a memoir and it happened in real life. Yeah, it was so interesting. This book is amazing. I would rate it 9 out of 10, maybe even 10 out of 10, but yeah, it's really good. I highly recommend it. And then the next book I read on my TBR list was Animal Farm by George Orwell. So this book was on my list for a while. I think it's been on my list for like a year, and I just now read it a few months ago. So yeah, Animal Farm is an allegory. It's about this farm that has a lot of animals, and it really explores totalitarian um, dictatorships. And I really liked Animal Farm. I think it was a pretty good book, honestly. I would probably rate it an 8 out of 10 because it was good, but it wasn't as emotionally powerful as An Invisible Thread. Animal Farm is more so just a good allegory with some good themes about the world and society. So, yeah, and Animal Farm kind of shows how people can get too powerful and the dangers of that power. So that's why I liked Animal Farm, basically because of the theme. And I really liked George Orwell's writing style in this book. Yeah, it was very insightful and very interesting. So, yeah. And then the next book I read was also by George Orwell, 1984, another very popular book. Now, this book, I was not a big fan of this book. I know a lot of people like it, but I personally did not enjoy this book at all. I think it was a little weird. I, first of all, George Orwell's writing was just not the same as Animal Farm. Like, the way he wrote was just completely different to me, and I don't like the whole world. I don't like the society. Like, it was just weird. It didn't really sit with me the right way. I think it was interesting. This book was not the best in terms of characters and plot because I did not like the protagonist at all. He was so unlikable. His name is Winston, and he's just not the best person in general. He's just he has no personality, he has no good character traits. He's just there, and he doesn't really do that much throughout the story. I don't know why he's there. I don't know why they would make Winston, the main character, so bad. I don't know. I don't know why they would do that, but he literally is so sexist, so just not a good person in general, so like pessimistic and not not good. And then he literally has an affair. He cheats on his wife with some girl named Julia. So that's already weird. That's already a red flag, that this character is not a good person. And he literally says that he hates women. So why did you make the main character sexist? I don't really know. But yeah, that was the main reason I didn't like 1984. I also was so confused by the Big Brother thing. They're like, Big Brother is always watching you, and like I understand how Big Brother is supposed to symbolize the totalitarian regime, but what is Big Brother supposed to represent exactly? And I was just confused about the fact that is Big Brother an actual um physical being? Like is Big Brother like is he like TJ Eckleberg's eyes in The Great Gatsby? Like is there like a billboard of like Big Brother like staring at everyone? Is Big Brother like a character, like a made up like person or character cartoon? Is he like a picture? Is he like a real person or is he just a made up person? I was so confused on if he's real or if he's fake, or is he just not real at all? Or is he the name of the government? Is he like a physical thing or is he just a metaphorical representative of totalitarianism? I was so confused about that. I just didn't like I just don't like the whole Big Brother thing, honestly. It made no sense to me. I was trying to figure out like the metaphor behind it, and like the only thing it really represents is how the totalitarian society is and how much surveillance there is and how every action of all the characters is being watched by the government. That's like really the only symbolic representation that I took away from Big Brother. And the whole book in general, it's not as good as Animal Farm. I barely got through this book. I wanted to stop reading after like the first 20 pages because I was just really bored. Because I did not like the plot, I don't like the characters, I don't like the setting, I don't like this fictional world where like Big Brother can tell you that 2 plus 2 equals 5 and you have to believe him. Like that's so weird. It's so weird and everyone is brainwashed and everyone is susceptible to propaganda. Like all of this stuff is just it's really crazy, it's really insane that George Orwell thought that that was how society was going to be in 1984 and now it's 2025 and it's still not like that. Society is not that bad. Like it's pretty bad, but it's not that bad. So, I think it's crazy how I mean, honestly, I will give George Orwell points for creativity and imagination. So, good job. Kudos for that. But it is so unrealistic. I really hope that society does not end up like this. In like 100 years, I hope it's not that bad. Okay, so I would rate 1984 a 6 out of 10. I mean, I don't know if I would read it again, but I did. I liked the theme. I liked the theme, and that's about it. Okay, so the next book I read from my TBR list was How to Read Literature Like a Professor by Thomas C. Foster. I put this book on my TBR list last year in junior year. This book was interesting. I think that this book is a really helpful resource for people that want to write better. And, like me, like I am a writer, I write lots of stuff. And that book was really helpful for me when I was like writing my stories about how I was gonna make my plot and my characters. So I appreciated all the helpful like tips from that book. And honestly, I don't know if it helped me read literature like a professor. I don't know if the book actually helped me to read literature like a professor. I don't think it really changed the way I read. I feel like the book really changed how I wrote though, because it would give you like writing tips about like show, don't tell, and how you can use weather symbolism in your writing, how anything can be a symbol if you want it to. So that part was very intriguing and it was really helpful for me. So I would recommend this book to anyone that wants to learn how to write better, because it doesn't really help you read literature, it helps you write literature, honestly. So yeah, I would rate that book a 7 out of 10. It's pretty good, very helpful. It's a good tool to use. Okay, next is The Diary of Anne Frank by Anne Frank. So I had this book on my TBR list for a good amount of time, probably 4 or 5 years. I've wanted to read it since I was in not elementary school. I wanted to read this book since I was in middle school, and I read it, and it was pretty good. It was decent, it's actually really good writing for however old Anne Frank was, like 13, 12, 13 at the time. So very good writing for at her age. But um honestly, some parts of the book was kind of weird. Some parts of the book was kind of unexpected because she writes a lot of personal things. Um a lot of personal things like regarding her identity, and some of the things she wrote is a little questionable. Some of the things that she wrote actually made me feel kind of uncomfortable reading them because they're like very personal, like her own like thoughts and stuff. So it did feel like a little uncomfortable reading all that. But I really did like this book because I love history. I think this book is a good primary source, a good first-hand account of what happened during the Holocaust. So yes, that is why I like this book. I would rate it a solid 7 out of 10. Okay, and then the last book I'm going to talk about that I read on my TBR list is Number of the Stars by Lois Lowry. So this book is also another historical fiction book. It also takes place during the Holocaust, and this book was really, really good. It's very short. It's like 100 pages. Very, very short book, but I had this on my TBR list for a while. I think I first put this book on my list in 7th grade. So, yeah, I've always wanted to read this book, and I'm so glad that I did read this book because it's very good. It tells a story about two girls that are best friends, and then one of the girls is a Jew, and then the other girl is not a Jew, and then the Jewish girl has to hide from the Nazis, so she hides with her friend and her friend's family. So I think that this book is again very historically accurate, very good at representing the Holocaust. So yeah, I would recommend this book to any other people that like historical fiction books like me. Definitely check this book out. It's really good. Okay, so now I'm going to be talking about the books that are still left on my TBR list. So the first book is All About My Life by Gerda Weissman Klein. So this book is also, just like The Diary of Anne Frank, this book is also a first-hand account of the Holocaust from a survivor of Auschwitz. So Gerda Weissman Klein, she was a real person. She was a Jew that experienced the horrors of the Holocaust. And this book is definitely it is definitely a good primary source to see what life was like during the Holocaust, and it really helps us learn more about history, learn more about that time period. As you can tell, I love historical fiction. I love books about the Holocaust. So that's why this book is on my TBR list. I also love a good memoir, just like Invisible Thread. All About My Life is a memoir. I love memoirs. I think they're so interesting. But yeah, moving on to the next book, it is Where She Fell by Caitlin Ward. I first put this book on my TBR list during 8th grade. No, I think it was earlier than that, actually 6th grade maybe. But I actually don't know that much about this book. I think it might be a horror or like thriller book, maybe. But yeah, I really hope I can read this book soon because it seems really interesting from what I can tell, and feel like I might like this book, but I don't really know. So might check that book out soon. Okay. And then the next book on my list is And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. So this book has been on my TBR list since 8th grade, I think. Yeah. So I really hope I can read this book soon because I have this book in my house. It's just sitting on my bookshelf, but I never picked it up. I never started to read it. So yeah, hopefully I can read it soon because I do love a good mystery. I've never read any Agatha Christie books before, but I've heard that all her books are amazing. I've heard such good things about And Then There Were None, and my school is actually doing a play of And Then There Were None. They're doing a play soon, so that's very interesting. Okay, now this next book is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. So I've heard a lot of great things about this book. I think I put this book on my TBR list in 8th grade, I believe. This book is a thriller slash mystery or maybe horror book, and I don't read a lot of thrillers, but this book seems really interesting. I think I might like this book. I don't really read, it's not really my favorite genre, but I really want to try to read this book to see if I like it because I'm trying to read books from different genres because usually I just read like dystopian and historical fiction and like sci-fi, fantasy. That's like those are all the genres that I usually read. And young adult and memoirs, I do read a lot of memoirs. So, and classics. I do read some classics too, but those are all the genres that I usually stay in. I don't really read like crime, thriller, horror. I don't really read all those books, so gonna try. I'm gonna try to expand my genres and just read a wider variety of books. And the next book I want to read is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. So this book I've heard amazing things about. It is a cute little romance young adult book, and all my friends have been talking about this book. Everyone and their mothers is talking about this book. This book is super popular on Book Talk, social media in general, like Instagram, TikTok. Everyone's been loving this book, so I just want to check it out to see if it actually lives up to the hype, and I will let you guys know after I read it. Maybe in a future episode I'll talk about this book, but yeah, I think that this book is gonna be okay. I don't think this book is gonna be like overrated or underrated. I feel like this book is actually just gonna be like in the middle. I feel like it's probably gonna be just a mediocre, normal book, average book. So yeah, nevertheless, I'm very excited to read this book. Now the next book is I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. So I've had this book on my TBR list since freshman year, so it's been 3 years now, and I still haven't read it. I literally bought it in June. I bought it a few months ago, and I was planning on reading it, right? But then I read like the first 2 chapters, and I was so bored, so I kind of just stopped reading it. I kind of took a little break because I didn't really know what was happening. I was just like really bored. So I stopped reading it, but now I'm thinking I might pick it back up again and just force myself to finish it. Maybe I'll like more of it. Maybe I'll like it better once I read more. But yeah, that I really need to finish that book, and I just really need to work on reading all these TBR list books. Okay, so this next book is a classic, Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. I I don't know if I really want to read this book, but I've heard it's a classic, it's a good book. Everyone's saying it's a good book, so I feel like I might as well read it, to see if it's actually good. Usually I don't love classics that much because they're kind of boring. The only classic I've liked is The Great Gatsby. I did not like Pride and Prejudice. I read Pride and Prejudice last year. It was kind of, it was okay. It was okay, but I don't know why everyone loves it. Same with Little Woman. Like, Little Woman was okay, but I feel like there's no reason for a book to be that long. It shouldn't be 600, 700 pages. Like, that makes no sense. But anyway, yeah, so I'm just gonna read Great Expectations, even though I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I don't know if I'm gonna love the book, but I'll still give it a try. And same with Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. That one's also on my TBR list. I'm not sure if I'm actually gonna like it, but might as well try to read it. So, yeah. Okay, so I have a few more books left on my TBR list that I still want to talk about. One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. So this book is also very popular on Book Talk and Instagram, social media. Everyone's been talking about this book. I don't really know why this book is so popular because I've read the summary. I've read like the summary of the plot. It doesn't look the best, but it doesn't look horrible either at the same time. So, yeah, all of the Carly Fortune summer books, I'm probably gonna start reading those next summer because summer's already over for this year. So, might read it next year. I might, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna like it because usually I'm not a big fan of book talk books. Like all the popular books on book talk and all the big like social media books that Gen Z likes reading, like the popular young adult teenage books, I usually don't like those books. Like I found that me personally, I'm not a big fan of the book talk books. I'm not a big fan of the books that are so popular on social media because honestly, a lot of books that are written for a lot of young adult and teenage books that are being written aren't really the writing the quality of the writing isn't the best from what I've seen. And same with the plot. The plot is usually really unoriginal, really just no creativity at all. So that's why I'm not a big fan of all these book talk books because usually if a book's trending on social media, my first reaction is like, oh, it's probably a bad book. I basically just like stereotype all books that are popular on social media because my first initial thought is always like, oh, so this book is gonna be another predictable teenage romance book that is super unoriginal. Like that's just my first thought, and I'm usually right. Like the plot is usually very predictable, just no creativity in making the plots. The characters are always one dimensional. They're really just dumb. So that's why I don't like a lot of book talk books. But anyway, we're getting off topic. The next book on my TBR list that I want to read is Finding My Way by Malala. So I read the first book Malala wrote in elementary school, and that was really good. That was so great. And she announced on Instagram that she is writing her second book, which is Finding My Way. And I think the book is out already. And if it's not out, then it's coming out soon. So I'm very excited to read this book because I like Malala. I like everything she's done. I liked her first book, so I'm very excited to read this one. Okay, next is The Pilgrim's Progress. So a this book is an allegory, I believe. And I do love allegories. I love like literally every classic allegory. So that's why I really wanted to read The Pilgrim's Progress. I think this book is definitely going to be very interesting. So yeah. Okay, now the last book I want to talk about is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. But I really wanted to read this book since I've been hearing the name a lot. I've been hearing the title of this book a lot in general. I've heard it's a pretty good book, so yeah, I'm very excited to read all of these books on my TBR list, and there's a lot more on my TBR list than the ones I just talked about. I think I have about 20 or 30 books still left on my TBR list because my TBR list is very long. It's very long, and I've read about half of the books on there, but I cannot wait to read even more, and I hope that this episode inspired you to go start working on your TBR list. Go make a TBR list if you haven't already, and if you already have a TBR list, then make sure you read some books on there and really get to work on finishing the list, and read all the books on your list and add some more books, make a super long list, and yeah, just have fun reading. Have fun reading, and I hope that this episode also gave you some good book recommendations. So yeah, I highly recommend all the books that I talked about that I've read on my TBR list. And yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. I always appreciate it. And remember to tune in next week for the next episode. There are new episodes every Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, available on YouTube and Spotify. Remember to follow the Book Nook Instagram for some more fun content, and thanks for listening. I hope to see you guys next week. This is Olivia M. signing off.